The first time the rescue team found Lyra, she was sitting at the edge of a burned-out cargo yard, her thin arms wrapped around her knees, her eyes staring into the dust that moved with the wind. She was small for her kind, maybe no older than a young teen in human years, but her species matured differently, and no one could guess her true age. Her skin had a soft silver tone, and faint lines of pale blue ran across her cheeks like light scars. The team had approached slowly and spoken calmly, but she did not speak back. She only kept her eyes on the ground. No one knew where she had come from or why she was alone. They brought her to the outpost station, hoping someone would claim her, but no one did. Over the next weeks, different households tried to take her in. She did not resist, but she never settled. Every place she went, the same pattern followed. She sat in a corner for hours. She ate only when reminded. She answered questions with short, quiet replies that revealed nothing of her past. When asked what she liked, she said nothing. When asked what she feared, she said nothing. After a while, the families would whisper that she made them uneasy. They meant no harm, but they did not know what to do with an alien child who carried a silence so heavy it changed the air of every room she entered. So she was returned to the station. Once, twice, 3 times. After the 4th return, some workers whispered that maybe she belonged somewhere else, some facility better equipped to handle a child who never spoke about her home. Others said she might run away if taken far from the station. Others believed she would vanish before anyone noticed she had gone. But Lyra never ran. She never broke a rule. She simply existed like a shadow that had somehow gained a heartbeat. It was during her 5th return that a human named Kara happened to be in the station lobby. Kara was a mechanic who worked on the long-range transports that crossed the border regions. She had a calm way of carrying herself, a habit of watching rather than rushing. That day she noticed the rescue workers guiding the silent alien girl back into the intake room. There was nothing unusual about the scene. The station saw many cases like this, but something in the way Lyra stood made Kara pause. The girl held her small pack with both hands, gripping it so tightly that her knuckles paled. Her gaze stayed low, not out of fear, but out of expectation, as if she already knew this place better than anyone should. Kara asked one of the workers about the girl. They told her the same story they had told others. They said the girl was gentle but distant, that she followed instructions but showed little emotion, that she never asked for help and never complained. But every family that tried to welcome her eventually felt lost around her. They said the girl seemed to carry an invisible weight. She never mentioned her past, her people, or any place she might call home. Kara listened quietly. When she looked again at Lyra, she saw a child who had been moved like cargo from one household to the next. Not because anyone wanted to hurt her, but because no one had been able to bridge the distance between her silence and their expectations. Kara did not know if she could do any better, but she felt the urge to try. She approached the intake desk and asked if she could meet the girl. The workers exchanged surprised looks. They reminded her of the difficulties. They explained the pattern of returns. They warned her that the child might never bond with a guardian. But Kara did not back away. She said she only wanted to talk with the girl before making any decisions. The workers agreed and led her to a small room where Lyra sat on a bench. The girl did not move when Kara entered. She kept her hands folded on her pack, as if holding on to the last thing she owned. Kara sat across from her. She did not speak right away. She gave Lyra time to look up. When the girl finally raised her eyes, Kara saw something quiet but sharp behind the silence. Not hostility, not fear. Something like a tiny blade of hope that had been dulled by too many disappointments. Kara introduced herself and asked if she could sit a little closer. Lyra nodded once. Kara moved to the bench beside her, but left enough space so the girl would not feel cornered. They sat in silence for almost a minute. Kara knew most people rushed to fill silence, but she had learned long ago that silence could be a kind of language too. When she finally asked Lyra if she was tired of being moved around, the girl hesitated. Then she gave a single quiet reply. Yes, her voice was faint, but it was the first honest emotion anyone had heard from her. Kara asked if anyone had ever asked her what she wanted. Lyra shook her head. Kara asked if she knew what she wanted. The girl's fingers tightened on her pack. She opened her mouth as if struggling to form a sentence. For a moment, it looked like she might retreat again. But she pushed through. She said she wanted to stay somewhere she would not be sent away. Her voice did not tremble, but the words felt fragile, as though they might break apart if spoken too loudly. Kara felt something in her chest shift. She asked if the girl would like to stay with her for a while. Lyra did not answer right away. She studied Kara's face, not with suspicion, but with the quiet intensity of someone who had been let down too many times and needed to see if this offer was real. When she finally nodded, it was small and cautious, as if she feared a nod might somehow make the moment vanish. Kara told the workers she would take temporary guardianship and sign the necessary forms. They accepted, though some looked doubtful. They had heard this hope before, but Kara paid no mind to their doubts. She only looked at Lyra and gave her a gentle smile. The first night at Kara's home was silent but not heavy. Kara showed Lyra the small spare room with a cot, a soft blanket, and a lamp shaped like a tiny globe. Lyra stood near the doorway for a long moment before stepping inside. She placed her pack on the foot of the cot, then sat without a word. Kara told her she could come to the kitchen any time if she felt hungry. Lyra nodded. Kara did not hover. She left the door slightly open and let the girl settle in on her own terms. Over the next days, Kara kept things simple. She did not flood Lyra with questions. She did not ask about her past. She only invited the girl to join her during her daily routines. Sometimes Lyra followed. Sometimes she watched from a distance. Sometimes she sat with a small tool in her hands, turning it over as if trying to understand something about its shape. One morning, while Kara was fixing a panel on a transport engine, she noticed Lyra watching more closely than usual. The girl's eyes followed every movement. Kara offered her a spare tool. Lyra hesitated and accepted. Kara showed her how to loosen a bolt. Lyra tried. Her hands were smaller but steady. The bolt turned with a soft click. She looked at Kara as if seeking confirmation. Kara smiled and told her she had done well. It was the first time Lyra's expression shifted in a way that resembled pride. From that moment, the girl began to spend more time in the workshop. She learned the names of tools. She learned how to check small power lines. She learned how to clean filters and secure panels. Kara noticed she worked with gentle precision. The girl never rushed, never grew frustrated, never wasted movement. She learned by watching and remembering. In the evenings, they shared quiet meals. Lyra started eating without reminders. She still spoke only when needed, but her answers grew slightly longer. She asked small questions about the machines. She asked about the routes the transport ships followed. She asked why the engines glowed blue during warm-up. Kara answered each question with patience. Every answer seemed to give the girl one more thread of belonging. One day, during a routine inspection at the station, a worker who had seen Lyra's returns approached Kara. He asked softly how things were going. Kara said the girl was doing fine. The worker seemed surprised. He asked if the child still stayed silent most of the time. Kara nodded. He asked if she caused any trouble. Kara shook her head. He then asked why Kara thought the arrangement worked when others had failed. Kara replied that she had not asked the girl to be anyone except herself. That seemed to confuse the worker. He said many families had tried to be kind. Kara agreed. She did not blame them. But she also said that kindness alone was not enough if the child felt like a visitor instead of a member of a home. When they returned to the transport, Lyra was waiting near the hatch. She held a small wrench in her hand. Kara told her they had one more engine to inspect. Lyra gave a quiet nod. As weeks passed, something changed in the way the girl moved through the home. She no longer lingered near the doorway before entering a room. She no longer held her pack wherever she went. She folded her clothes without being told and placed them neatly on a shelf. She found a small cup she liked and used it every morning. She began humming very softly while working on small repairs. It was almost too quiet to hear, but Kara noticed. One evening, as they sat at the small table, Lyra looked up and asked if Kara ever thought about taking someone in permanently. Kara answered honestly that she had not thought about it before. Lyra looked down at her hands. Kara asked if the girl was asking about herself. Lyra gave a tiny nod. Her voice nearly vanished when she said she did not want to be returned again. Kara reached across the table and rested her hand near Lyra's. She did not rush to speak. When she finally answered, she spoke with steady calm. She said Lyra had already become part of her life. She said she would sign the papers to make the guardianship permanent if the girl won.